Well, Dave, thank you for the opportunity to come and spend some time with the people in Vancouver. I'll share a little bit about myself and then kind of explain what we're going to go through today. So I've been working with startups for the last 14 years. I've been an entrepreneur in residence for the accelerator in Kamloops, which used to be called Kamloops Innovation, but back in the early days when it was Innovate BC, I did some work for Innovate BC as well, and we used to come and get together with all the accelerators in different places. My background is running businesses, very traditional businesses for a while, then in retail and then into the e-commerce side of it before I got into helping as an entrepreneur in residence. Now I still continue to consult. I consult almost exclusively with AI and a very strong focus on avatars and voice cloning. So some people get a little bit scared, or when you talk about that kind of stuff, you think about what you've seen on Facebook or any of the social media channels where we probably see about the worst cases of AI cloning, avatars, etc. So today is not about that at all. You are going to see some avatars, and I've got some pre-made demos that you're going to see and watch. But I come from business, so it's not really about, how do you see something cool that John made or someone else made. It's about how do you take and amplify your presence or your company's presence by using an avatar. How do you reach new markets? How do you make it easier to onboard people into your organization if you're growing? So it's about using it at scale and using it in ways that are ethical and can allow you to grow and get large. I'm open to questions as we move along. Before coming to here, and we've got 89 people registered, but there's Tech Summit we're competing with, and we might see people just wandering as they go, and we weren't charging for this event. But I did ask HeyGen and act as an ambassador for them. So here in Canada, I'm one of several that will speak about HeyGen, and I will help companies with understanding how they can use it in practical applications and come out to do events like we're doing right now. So one of the things I asked about, because there's a lot of people that are looking at it from a business point of view, is can we make available not just a free HeyGen account for you, but actually a creator account. So for everyone here today, and this code is good for today, you can scan in, and this will give you a 30-day creator account. So you'll be able to build the kind of workflows that you're going to see here today. There is a code, and I'll put this up 3 different times through for people that are coming along to do it. The QR will take you to, it's a special link that'll take you over to HeyGen. When you sign up for a creator account, it'll ask you for a code. When you put the code in, the code is the equivalent to the $29 US. So you get a credit of $29 US that covers what the cost of a creator account is for a month. So you have 30 days from today to be able to build. So you can actually do a pilot, a workflow that might be meaningful within your business. So we'll have a break midway through, and then at the end I'm going to put this up again, but it should be pretty straightforward for how you fill it in. Maybe take a picture so you have that saved in your model. So I worked with conventional business, but I also spent a lot of time working on TV, and I think everyone could agree that video and TV have been ways that we've been able to make huge impacts with people because of the medium and, oh, come on in, and the effectiveness of it. Am I getting in the way of your, oh, let me put it back a screen, sorry, there you go. But video's always been really expensive. In my retail chain of stores, we actually paid for TV. And that was hugely expensive at the time, but we got amazing results of it. So the biggest factor for keeping people out of video has been the cost, but also the time involved, the edits, having to make changes especially if you're changing and you're growing as a company. When avatars came into the picture about 2.5 years ago, they were really clunky. But I looked at them and saw and really felt that if if they improved, this was going to be a way that businesses and professionals could actually start to scale video and make it easier. About a year and a half ago, they started to improve quite a bit. About a year ago, it became something that you could actually do something meaningful with. And then 4 months ago, I was part of a test group to test a new product called Avatar 5 that became an incredibly realistic way that you could create a human double. And that's when I reached out to Dave and said, we've got something really exciting. I'd like to book in for some of these, because now all of a sudden you're going to see that we can have incredible quality that's scalable and that's usable through a lot of platforms that you're already working with. And that's what we're going to go into here today. So when a company's scaling, it's not just about product or a service that you're doing. Founders become communication bottlenecks. Communication as a whole is a huge bottleneck that takes place. Teams are repeating the same explanations. You're trying to onboard customers where there's not enough time. Sometimes you're onboarding better than other times. You need more staff than ever before, and you often don't have a consistency in training the staff. If you grow a little bit larger and you want to start going into new markets, all of a sudden, how do you do that? How do you localize to be able to communicate effectively with your messages? And if you're taking on investment, shareholders, the more investment that's coming in, the more pressure there is to be able to communicate with them, to share the updates, to let them know what's happening so that there's transparency. And we're going to cover all the different ways. Now, avatars, I'll tell you right now, do not cover everything. You can't use an avatar to replace everything you have going. So we're going to talk about where they make sense, also where they don't make sense. So it's not about novelty today. We're going to be talking more about business workflows, where they fit, a framework, and how you figure out what are the right use cases. And you're going to have a path to a 30-day pilot, because we're giving you the opportunity to use an actual plan that will allow you to do some stuff that's real. I'll show you some really cool things right at the end, but we'll stick at the beginning with stuff that is just the practical part of where you're looking at it. So when we think about avatars for proper use in a business setting, they should be solving at least one of these 5 problems. They should be allowing you to create video faster than traditional video and more cost effectively. There should be consistency, better in keeping your message aligned, and being able to personalize. AI has allowed us to personalize a lot of communication where people are using it for your emails. If you're using, any AI assist for your content writing, the ability to use personalization in terms of an avatar takes it to that next level where we can actually personalize it to a specific type of audience, the level of where they're at, the language of where they're at, the localization, more languages, more markets, and not just with subtitles or expecting people to figure out or translate it through, but to actually be our real voice communicating it. And then scale, where you can move to using whether it's agents or any of the other API tools lined up with other platforms, where you can actually scale individualized video messages to clients, prospective clients, anyone else that might need to receive your messages consistently. Hi, come on in. No, don't be sorry. It's good having everyone here. So maybe just a mental exercise for yourself. If you have something to write on or make a note, great. If you don't, just keep it in the back of your mind, because this is going to be really relevant for what we're going to talk about, is where does communication break in your company right now? Or where will it break as you're growing? So what are the things that you maybe explain repeatedly over and over again? Maybe some people say, well, that's great. I've become really good at it. But is that a good use of my time if I'm always answering that same question over and over again? Where do customers get confused right now? Where do they sometimes not get what your product does or how you're trying to fix something? And what are you recreating far too often that you shouldn't be? And maybe are there areas where follow-up gets delayed, where you might be working with prospective clients or working with existing ones where there's a long gap between what we actually do to deliver upon the promise that we gave our customer, our prospect, or even our employee. And if we're training staff or we're onboarding new customers, is it inconsistent? Do you find there's areas where sometimes we're better, maybe when we're not as busy? Sometimes we kind of drop the ball a little bit. And do you have messages that need to work in more than one market? So every one of you may have a completely different thought going through your mind, but I just want you to be conscious of that, because as we go through the different types of solutions, I'm hoping that you're going to maybe see a few things where you might want to experiment and see, can I apply an avatar? And can I see if this could actually work or make sense? So today we'll go through how do we frame the opportunity, and then how do we look at HeyGen as a communication stack versus a company that makes videos, because it's more about using the right tools in communication. What makes a strong use case? And we're going to explore 5 very specific buckets of where avatars can work for you, and possibly where it could actually help in your business or startup. And how to diagnose your opportunity, mapping the workflow, and then what would a pilot look like for you in the next 30 days to actually build something now that you have availability of a tool. Before we go further, maybe just a show of hands, how many of you are in a startup at whatever scale or form? Okay. How many of you are business professionals that are looking for, okay, there we go, looking for ways to help, all right. How many of you are just curious? Okay, curious, cool. Always curious, okay. And are there any of you that have avatars of yourself? Awesome, okay, cool, super cool. And it doesn't matter what you answered. You're all in the right room for what we're going to go through today. So if we're thinking of HeyGen as a stack, then it's more about which communication problem or challenge are we really trying to solve. So we go from, we're going to start talking about just regular polished avatar videos to how to localize in different markets, how to generate videos faster with speed and scale, how to keep on brand and content. Also, if we want to have an avatar that interacts back and forth, so it's not just a script, that it actually has the ability to think and communicate just like a chatbot would. And how do we connect it into other systems that we may already have? So I really want to look at HeyGen as not just we can make avatar videos, but how do we solve communication as a whole? So the first layer of avatars that, if you're going to start and jump into it as a company, and for all of you, maybe just give you a little background. I'm a big with sharing information. So everything that you're seeing here today, before the end of it, it's scheduled that you're going to receive the entire slide deck that I have. You're also going to get links to all the videos that I'm going to show you as demos. And I have 5 workbooks for you for how to create all the different workflows that we're going through, because I'm a big believer that you're only going to take in so much here, but you're going to have the tools to be able to duplicate everything that you're seeing here today being given to you. So when you're starting with avatars, rather than jumping headfirst in as a company, often companies will want to dabble with what's an easy way to do it and explore. And the first layer of AI avatars is really studio video, which is avatars that are stock avatars. So that's without trying to create a version of yourself. There is thousands of stock avatars that are available. You can pick between all types of looks, all types of ages, all types of settings. And you can give them a script. So for companies or people that don't want to necessarily have a version of themselves right away, you can have an avatar that you pick that's yours to use with its own voice, with its own personality, being able to deliver stuff. So that could be for simple explainers. It could be in-house that you're using for SOPs, for training materials. So I'm going to show you an example of a first one. And all I did was I had my AI assistant just create scripts that were fictional, but based if they were a real company. So this one we're going to call ClearPath Health. And just a simple explainer video. And so this is a stock avatar. This is something that you could create in a couple of minutes with what you have now with the creator plan. So it's given a script that was created by AI, or you could write it yourself, and it will just deliver its script.
Hi, I'm Maya from ClearPath Health. If your clinic team is still collecting patient information by phone, paper forms, or repeated back and forth emails, intake can quickly become one of the biggest friction points in the patient experience. ClearPath Health helps clinics move patient intake into a guided digital workflow. Patients can complete their information before they arrive. Staff can review key details earlier, and care teams get a clearer picture of patient needs before the appointment begins. For busy clinics, this means fewer repeated questions, fewer missed details, and a smoother first step for both patients and staff. ClearPath Health is built to support faster, more consistent intake without adding more administrative pressure to your team.
So a year ago, this was the level that we got to, which was far more realistic than just a talking head. You felt a bit of personality, the voice, the lip movement came through realistic. The version a year ago was called Avatar 3. Right now, that's available in your plan. You can pretty much create as many of these as you want, virtually unlimited, at no cost within a month. So you could have a ton of SOPs. You could have a ton at volume. They don't use a ton of compute power, and it's still the older technology. So very, very simple for where it would be better to have a voice and a face being able to explain something. There is a studio editor called AI Studio that's built into HeyGen, where you can have video in the background of this. Just like if you're building something in Canva, or if you've used any other video platform, you can put still images, you can put bullet points, you can have anything that you would normally create with. I just use something very simple just to make a simple example for yourself, but you can go as complex as you want. And these are virtually at no cost for what you want to make. And I think you can go up to a 30-minute video of them. So they could be quite long if you're using them from a training point of view.
So John, to
yep.
make that, let's say, a 1 or 2 minute, how many hours might that be with this version 3?
Hours of time for you to do it?
Yeah.
It'd be minutes.
Oh, okay.
You probably wouldn't find anything that could take you longer than 30 minutes to put together. Especially if you're using AI in your scripting. And what you're also getting with the other tools I gave you is there is a custom GPT that I always provide for people that is a scriptwriter for avatars. So you can give it bullet points, you can give it maybe a partial script or an idea, and it can turn it into what would sound like a realistic talking script. And you'll see that in your package. It's you don't have to have a paid version of ChatGPT. You can open it with just the free version to come into it. So this is a simple way. And a year ago we could do this. So what became where we had some of the biggest changes were in digital twins when we see a version of ourselves. How many of you saw the little videos that I provided to VentureLabs for the promotion of this? A few of you? Okay, a few of you did. Well, it wasn't me, it was my avatar, my twin. So a year ago, for every version of me, if I wanted to be in this shirt, I had to film a 2 to 3 minute section of me in this outfit. So we would have what we'd call looks. So I would film, if I was creating an avatar for someone, I would film maybe a dozen or plus different looks. They would be in different outfits, and the avatar would be trained by AI on the particular movements that you did. So if you wanted to have an excited and happy avatar, you would be talking and being a little bit more gregarious, and you would have that kind of movement. You'd label that particular look. If it was a serious context, you'd have a more serious look going to it. And so you'd have different versions that you could use for various settings. And that was still incredibly efficient, and they still look quite realistic and good. And then 4 months ago, all of it changed, and this is where it made the huge change to where this can be for everyone in a scalable way. We went from 2 to 3 minutes to capture a particular look to 15 seconds of you talking and moving naturally to get your version of your avatar. HeyGen has captured over 17 million avatars, or human avatars. There are only so many types of us in terms of how we move, how we look. So now it's no longer an intensive, and we no longer have to have you in different outfits. Once it captures your look and understands who you are, that essence remains consistent all the way along. So if you can give up 15 seconds of your time to be captured properly, you don't have to be on film again. Now, you're not going to age, but you can be in any outfit and any setting. And this is where the huge change is now for companies, because all of a sudden now it's not a very big ask to go in front. And so now you can, rather than using a stock avatar, you can use a version of yourself or versions of people in your team that might want to have their versions there for a more personalized look. Maybe it's for training, the person that's involved in training, or the one who's onboarding new clients. So there's a lot of value in having the captured human presence of who we are and who people can relate to, because our look, our tone, and our temperament it's part of who we are, where our trust comes from. And this is now where we can start to amplify trust and amplify our message of who we are. So I'm going to show you now a couple of quick examples, then we're going to get into a few demos to really show you how far this has come from the static portion. So I want you to meet Chris. I've known Chris for 17 years. I was his EIR for a while. They run an IT company in Kamloops, but they're very large. They do a lot of infrastructure. They would wire buildings like this for stuff and do a lot of other managed IT services. Chris has pulled in every single direction. But Chris has said, I want to have an avatar of me, but I never want to actually have to do anything with it. I've got lots of staff, right? And I trust that my marketing staff will do good by me. So he said, can you do one? It took almost 4 weeks before I could actually nail him down to get him in to do this. So have a look. This is 15 seconds that the AI trained on.
And so what's really important about that is recognizing that when you're trying to conceptualize how something should go together, it means that you have to be able to expand upon it in a way that allows an infinite number of things.
I don't know what Chris is talking about, but usually if I'm filming a person, all I want them to talk about is something that means something to them, so they can be natural in how they speak about something they're passionate about. So that 15-second capture, once I had Chris. Now voice is something different. We're going to talk about voice at the end. But the actual image of him and the capture, I gave that then I set everything up for him, and I passed it over to his marketing manager. The next morning, he had a video that you're going to see, which is Chris's About Us part, like, the little bio on the website. He did it on video. So this is the next day with no experience, and this is all from that capture.
Working live shows and learning early that if one moving part fails, the whole thing feels it. That mindset followed me into business. We got our first client, opened a dictionary to find a name, landed on Adroit, and it stuck. What defines me most is that I've always been wired to see how things connect. That became a big part of how we built Adroit. best analogy I know is a duck on the water, calm on the surface, paddling like crazy underneath. That's what great service looks like to me.
That was minutes of work. The script was just taken and put through OpenAI through the script writer. It just took his existing About Us part. Those outfits he didn't put on. You saw what Chris was filmed in. And that now with Avatar 5, which was the launch we did just over a month ago, it was on April 8th. I was part of that launch. It's able to take the words that you're using in a script and understand how and mirror how you should be moving, how your expression should be going. And that's a direction where we're going to see massive changes coming up into it. So we've gone from just a static capture and how you were captured in that 2 or 3 minutes to 15 seconds being able to actually reproduce you again. And reproduce you relative to the script and relative to what it is that you want to be wearing and also what the setting's going to be for you. So because I got to play with this for 3 months before that, I was part of a launch and I had my version here. So everything you're going to see here is, other than the part you're going to see where my 15 seconds was filmed, is a digital replication of me. This is me, and this is also me too. And yes, this is me again. Same person, just different looks. HeyGen's new Avatar 5 changes this workflow in a really dramatic way. I recorded one short 15-second source clip, and then built out a range of different looks. And I ended up with multiple believable versions of myself for different settings and use cases. This version could work well for teaching. And this one fits my advisory content. And of course, I can use this one for interviews or podcast-style videos. And I can use this look for more formal business communication. And what stands out to me is not just the realism, it's the leverage. One short capture can now support a whole range of believable, professional versions of you. And that's what makes Avatar 5 feel genuinely useful. So April 8th, I think, is where it really changed for everyone when we talk about a business setting. Because now we are talking about being able to project ourselves in whatever way that we need to. Not just from a look point of view, but also expression, and to really capture a huge part of us. And business is all about communication. It's not just for sales. It's how we get messages to our staff. It's how we work with people that have inquiries or people that are maybe struggling with some of the challenges of working with us, that we can have the right message delivered in the right way. And it's not about tricking people. My avatar is always referred to as Virtual John. I still try to get most people that are looking at avatars in their business setting to introduce their avatar as a AI assistant or as a separate entity than themselves. So you're not trying to trick someone that this is me, that you're saying this is so that I can actually amplify my presence. This is so I can be, help you for 95% of the things that you might need 24/7. And for the things that you need me for 100%, I will be there for you, but this allows me to be able to have a broader reach with it. Does that seem a little bit crazy to see how far we've come? Yeah. And every single one of you here can make a version of yourself in so many different ways already with what you have. And it doesn't require any huge skill. I'm going to go in towards the end. I'm going to show you how we do proper capture and how you get proper voice so that it's not, wow, John could do this. I want it to be that every single one of you can do anything that you're going to see me do here today and be able to help your staff, your teams, your colleagues, your friends be able to utilize this, because this is a real game changer in terms of being able to multiply ourselves. So this is what we call digital twins, which is duplicating a person, which was, I called it still easy a year and a half ago, because I thought this is amazing that you could do that with 2 or 3 minutes of capture. But now 15 seconds of capture is really the only requirement that you got to get through. So it's pretty minimal. So the next layer I'm going to talk about is one message that can reach many markets. And it's not always, when we think of many markets, maybe, some people say, well, we're not global. We deal with, just Canada or Canada and the US. But think how many different languages, first languages, that are other than English and other than French. The ability to be able to allow our message to be accessible in the language that people prefer is huge. So it's not just for international, but it's also very much can be for regional messaging. Respecting how people want to have something delivered to themselves. So that can be for sales, but it can also be for onboarding staff that don't live where you live. There's a lot of offshore staff that are being used by some companies. Being able to give them training also within their own language, and have that consistently with the voice and with the personality of ourself. So human review still matters. So if you're doing something that's translating into a different language, we don't always get it right. If you've seen the political debates, those that aren't the first language, sometimes it doesn't sound right or sound the same. So if you have something that's very sensitive that you're translating to a different language, often you may need to have a set of eyes put on it. But translation's getting better and better, and translation's now in real time. And translation no longer has an odd lip movement. Like, it's not that lip syncing that doesn't match up anymore. So the example I'm going to show you on this is Miley Wong. Miley is here in Vancouver. A number of months ago, she reached me because of the fear of AI being used for all the wrong reasons, to duplicate, to fool people, to trick people that we've seen different examples of. They needed to communicate a message to their high wealth management company, and they needed to communicate their message to a lot of older individuals who were used to calling up and saying, hey, I'd like you to transfer this money here, or I'd like you to make this trade, or give me some information about whatever. And they were going to change their policies dramatically because they wanted to protect their clients. So she said, can I bring you in, and we'll get everyone in together. And I really want to get the point across to them. Is she said, can you make a video of a double of me, and could you have it speaking a number of languages? These are the main languages in my group. And I said, I can, but I'm not going to be able to make it to Vancouver. But I said, if you have some good pictures, you could send me single pictures. And what do you have for audio? She said, well, I have a podcast, so I have some good quality audio. So send me the podcast and send me the audio. So what you're about to see is created from one still picture of Miley and the audio from a number of her podcasts that I used to train an AI on her voice clone. So she had a large screen. We did it at the Point Grey Golf Club, and she didn't come out onto the stage part instead. And people just thought they were having some kind of a neat experience. So there was a big screen set up. And this is part of what played, and then she came in afterwards, and everyone thought that Miley was just amazing. She could speak all these languages, so let's just let her do it.
And we hope you enjoy today's event. У нас сегодня отличная команда спикеров, подобранная специально для вас, как часть нашего стремления создавать ценность для вас, как для клиента, и мы надеемся, что вам понравится сегодняшнее мероприятие. Abbiamo una fantastica selezione di relatori qui per voi oggi come parte del nostro modo di creare valore per voi come clienti, e speriamo che apprezziate l'evento di oggi. 我们为您精心策划了今天的精彩演讲阵容，作为我们为客户创造价值的一部分，祝您今天的活动愉快。Nous avons une excellente sélection d'intervenants réunis ici pour vous aujourd'hui, dans le cadre de notre démarche de création de valeur pour vous en tant que client, et nous espérons que vous apprécierez l'événement d'aujourd'hui. What you are watching isn't actually live. This is a digital version of Miley.
Then she came on and and went through stuff. But it's amazing for people who were in there that are all savvy people, business people, professionals all through their life, to see how much we've changed and adapted. Again, that is one still image, and then audio that was captured because she had some quality audio put together. But when you see that, that is not like subtitles anymore. That is actual being able to communicate in other languages and being able to get messages across. So you could have anything that you deliver right now in the tongue and language that you put out can just as easily be done. Every YouTube or Vimeo video that's out there could be transferred over again into being in an avatar in whatever language it needs to be. So training materials, support materials, in the comfort of languages. There's over 130 some languages that my avatar can speak. I didn't even know there was 130. Yes, please.
John, I have a question.
Yes.
So, my understanding is those avatars that are currently working right now is based on the script we written for it beforehand, right? Or is it that the avatar can actually learn the style and the way you talk, so it can function autonomously?
That's a very good question. We're actually going to get to. So then that's perfect, because what we've been seeing so far is scripted avatars. So they are not thinking on their own, they're delivering a message, but we're going to get into another type of avatar. We used to call it interactive avatar, now we call it live avatar. So it can be an avatar that, just like a chatbot uses an LLM to learn and create and engage. These ones you can create private LLMs for businesses or for yourself that have all that knowledge base and can interact back and forth with you. So that is an excellent question. But no, these ones aren't thinking. But what they are doing is they're taking the script, they're understanding how the mouth should move relative to the script, and they're delivering it in a way that it doesn't look like you've got a mouth that's speaking English and the sound that's coming out in another language. But excellent question. Yes.
This is extraordinary, by the way. This is really amazing. I'm thinking about next level applications. So I've got two questions around
Yes.
translation.
Yes.
One would be, if it's just an avatar and it's me speaking in English, I'm assuming it's going to use my own voice and intonation. The moment it's Spanish or Russian, from an accent perspective, what's my voice going to sound like? Is it going to sound like somebody trying to speak Russian with an English accent, or is it going to be a fictitious voice at that point in time?
No, Miley speaks one language, English. So the first time her parents actually heard her speak Mandarin. But when you,
Someone who speaks Mandarin, how are they, what is the voice that's Mandarin?
I follow what you're saying. It's just like you're hearing there. That's actually Miley's voice, as if she was pronouncing it correctly in Mandarin.
Correctly.
Yes.
So my second question,
Yep.
sorry, just two. Regional accents. So even in English, if I wanted to create an avatar that spoke with an Irish accent or a Newfoundland accent, I'm curious to what degree we're able to program that.
We're not there yet. But when it comes to other languages that have multiple dialects, some of the main ones, so when we say there's 130, there's a few different versions in some languages of dialects, and they're specific to those dialects. But in Canada, and maybe it's because, we have a number of different, someone in the prairies can speak quite different from someone in Newfoundland, and French is French, but we haven't got, Well, no, I don't say that in a bad way, but I mean, Quebec French. There is Quebec French and there is France French, so we do have those two separately, but we don't have a difference in terms of accents or regionalization. Yes.
Don't get me wrong, this is already amazing, but next generation of the application, I'm assuming will hit.
Hopefully, yes. Yes, sir.
This is pretty amazing. I think it's
started thinking also on the power, but also the risks that come with this. So, for example, identity theft. So it's clear that the technology has advanced a lot for creating these avatars and making them deliver messages. But do you have any thoughts on where's the technology on risk mitigation?
A huge amount. When I was part of that talk with the wealth management company, there was a lot of conversation about that risk part. Voice cloning now is undetectable by banks or government or FBI. Like it's a perfect clone you can get to. So yes, there's a huge danger in that stuff. We're seeing already the stuff that we see on social feeds. We can't tell the difference, even though a lot of people say I can tell the difference perfectly. Versions of this is being used in Hollywood applications, so they don't have to bring actors back in to reshoot different scenes, and they're just doing it. They're doing it digitally to finish up those parts. So at the high level, these things are better than you can imagine. And no, we haven't caught up with, forget avatars, just AI period. We have not caught up with how we're going to balance the bad actors with the good actors. I'm showing you a ton of positive applications, but like everything, a hammer is a tool and a hammer is a weapon. This technology represents great applications, and it also represents that we can no longer just trust things. So, we tell our kids, well, we've got safe words. A lot of the banks and a lot of the wealth people are going towards safe words as well, or a conversational phrase that they're going to have and talk about, because you can't rely on just voice. And if people have pulled a lot of information out, it can be a lot more challenging to do that. And I don't know where that's going to get solved. But I think ethically, and that's why I think it's important to also disclose when you are using your digital twin for messaging versus making belief that that's you and you don't have all the ums and the ahs and the buts. My avatar is really clear. Me, not so much at times. But those are extremely important questions, and I think it would be great in a perfect world if we'd slow down a little bit and deal with some of the things that we do need to deal with. But it's a race. Yes, please.
I'm thinking of this as a sales tool.
Yep.
Is there any data on what kind of avatars work better for certain kinds of decision makers, as an example? So if I wanted to get a hold of doctors, is there any data, like as part of the HN service, for instance, you captured this kind of avatar with this kind of voice actually has worked best?
No, because their main niche and part is how they duplicate the image and the detail in the communication part. There's a lot of companies that are starting to support other aspects, which are how to do better scripting to the right audiences. And how to do that. So that's separate, and you can tie that in, and that also comes into where people can build their own LLMs that could be their own very proprietary way from a sales or from a marketing point of view that could be your secret sauce, so to speak. And
I was thinking off the shelf at this point to where this type of avatar, this type of look, and this type of voice is really done well with this type of decision maker.
In the global circuit that I work in, I haven't heard that part, but I have seen a lot of different approaches in terms of how to get better at better messaging and better communication. Yeah. So level 4 is really for those that want to go from not just trying to create their own ideas faster, but to actually have be able to give a script. So we have something called Video Agent, where you can give an idea to the agent of what you're trying to create. Maybe that's a product demo. Maybe it's a particular type of message you're trying to do. You can give it your key parts of your message. You can give it some images. They could be video, they could be pictures, they could be a combination of both. You can give it script or bullet points, or you can ask it to create on its own. And what it will do, so you're giving it an idea and a prompt, potential script, some visuals, and then what it does is it takes all of that stuff into account, and including the avatar that you want to use, and it will create a version for you to be able to look at. So it'll give you a draft. So before you actually produce it, you can look at a draft of what that video would look like. And you can make changes to it before you produce that actual video. So you could look and say, no, I want to say a little bit differently, or I want to use this different image instead, combined. So you give it a lot of creativity or creative freedom to create that. So plenty of companies are using Video Agent to take an idea and start to iterate what could that look like in terms of how might we get a message across. So now we're able to use AI to create not just a change of wording message, but to have a little bit of freedom and a little bit of agency around its creativity from a video aspect, while still keeping true to the avatar that will be in there delivering it. So you can have your avatar, your essence, delivering a message and delivering a scene that's been created by the AI agent. And if you like it, you go ahead, hit publish. And if you don't like it, you can start from scratch. But this is an avenue that some companies are starting to do at scale. So they're starting to use messages, and the only part that they're changing, so they'll use the API to take in the information, is the part about the end customer, so that the video that's going to the potential prospect is customized and customized automatically to have the output and being able to be delivered. And once you kind of have a template or format from that, you can have a lot of consistency with it. So it allows you to be able to build at scale and prompt at scale, and companies will deploy agents to go through. They do have MCP servers, so they can go and you can do that, so you can have mass communication that is individualized to each recipient. Does that make sense? Okay. I didn't put an example of that because in every example it's pretty unique and different. I don't use that feature that much personally, although I use it at times to make some demos. It's not something that I use in workflows that I do, or that I do with a lot of customers. And then at the corner, when you talked about can an avatar talk back and forth with you? Well, yes, they can. And we can give them the knowledge base. I was really early into the testing of these when it was called interactive avatars. So I have versions of me that are trained on my family history, childhood memories, and my daughters find it incredibly creepy because they can have a conversation with my avatar, in my voice, in my likeness, talking about something that we did together from my perspective, because I have built that into the memory base. This is a little bit of a part that has quite a few different applications. There's a lot of people that I've helped work with because they're older and they're looking at a legacy project, and they want to be able to maybe address their board of directors 100 years from now, and be able to put that into their wills to have someone or possibly a committee that can choose how that may be engaged with, or when it might be sunsetted at times. So there's that application of it, but where the bigger application is for Q&A. Rather than having a regular Q&A, having the ability to have all those key questions that you can ask, and the avatar being able to answer the question, but also to escalate at times if you need to, let me put you on to sales, or let me get someone from customer service and support. So rather than just answering back something, being able to go to a next step and move it through. We're in a university setting, and we are challenged at times by the internet and the safety protocols in here. I have a wonderful example I was going to show you. This is a real project with a managing broker in Kamloops called Brendan Shaw, and I'm in the build process with him, and it's an early stage that we're building upon it. But Brendan, I think I'll try it again after, but we keep on freezing up the system, SFU. I think there's something that's not allowing us to do it. We were trying it earlier, and Dave was trying to help me with it. But this avatar has all the knowledge of their brokerage. what they do, their unique part, all the knowledge of the homes, the areas, and it can, now it's not going to sell the house for realtors, it's not going to get rid of salespeople, but what it's available for is 24/7. You can engage with Brendan's AI agent, as he calls it, or he has a particular name for it, and it will walk you through it, and it'll also ask, would you like me to put you in touch with one of our agents? And a pop-up box will come up, so you can fill in your name, your phone number, and have an agent reach out to you. But it can give you lots of information if you're looking for a place that are close to schools, particular settings. It can take and balance all that information out. At a later point, he wants to have his own LLM that will have a lot more unique information, so it can help people a little bit more along the way. It can't replace what a broker has to do, but what it's designed for is to make it easier for a person. A lot of people go to websites, they don't want to reach out to the company yet. They're still researching. Look how many people hit our sites, but they don't fill in that contact box, right? They're still searching because they want to be able to do that. The interesting thing is that most of us will engage longer with an avatar because there's no judgment to it. We're using these in teaching. When I work with the university in Kamloops and other universities, I build these, and they're, at times they're a tool where a student wants to practice for an interview, and they're trained with all the key interview skills. So you don't, you can just start from scratch again, and it'll take you through, it'll prompt you along, it'll tell you what you did, what was really good. It won't be hard on you in a bad way, but it'll help you with that advice, but it allows you to keep having engagement back and forth. So if you have an avatar, say on a realtor site, let's use this as an example because it's a real example, and if it's already helped you with half a dozen great bits of information about the areas, where the schools are located, what it's close to, how, where is the shopping, etc. And then it asks you, well, would you like me to have an agent just reach you just to be able to give you a little bit more information? It's quite easy to say yes, because it's already provided value for you. So these can be great tools to provide value, give a little bit of trust and say, okay, yeah, you know what, this has been helpful. I don't mind having someone from this place reach me. And maybe the 3 or 4 other websites I went to, I couldn't get any information out of, other than they all said the same thing. We're the best, we sell the most homes, and we treat you better than anyone else. But this one actually helped me. It explained a bunch of stuff to me. It told me the things it couldn't do. It told me it didn't know about the pricing on the stuff. It couldn't answer any legal questions or anything else. So it said what it could do, and it told you what it couldn't do, and it tried to help in any way, and then it tried to, in a very warm and polite way, hand you off to someone that could help you more. So they act as a really good tool from that point of view. They act as a really good education tool in workplaces. They are also acting as support for people that might not know a proper way to handle a situation that they're in, and they might want advice. I'm having difficulty with a particular employee or a supervisor. Maybe I'm going to approach someone for a raise or some time off. Can I role play with you on some different ways that I can approach it and get some feedback on it? So these are the practical sides that we're seeing this. This is not replacing out people, other than this will replace fast food takeout windows accurately. This type of technology that will come down the pipe. But for most situations in the business side, these are really there to be a nice, warm first level when a person is just getting to your site and reaching and needing to get a bit of information, but they're not quite ready to commit to phoning up or emailing and giving you the information about them. We're pretty private about giving you our phone number or email, because then we feel like we're going to get spammed. These can help build a little bit of value before you get to that point. Any questions on that version? I'm going to try to see if we can play with this at the end again and see if we can break the system here. Yes, please. Sorry, the depth of the content. Yes.
Suppose I was invited to give a keynote to someone, and I was able to attend the event, and I wanted to record my talk, and it's supposed to be like a 40-minute talk or a 30-minute talk. I'm trying to
That's a great question. That's one of the things that I show professors. Some are open to it, some aren't. I give talks at the university quite often. They're about an hour long. And right now I'm recording what I'm saying, and it's picking up what you're asking me. I am filming a little bit because I'll take a little clips after, but the biggest reason I'm recording this right now, and I'll switch to another recorder later, is that it takes a long time for me to get my message across in real life. But when I take this recording, I can put it through a custom GPT that I have. I'll make it available to anyone who wants it. And I can give it my slide deck. It knows what slides I'm talking about because of the conversation and the AI work with me to create these. And then I can ask it a few simple things. I would like you to condense this down into a, if it's an hour long, usually a 5 to 10 minute, 5 to 10 minute avatar delivered talk with the slides in the background so the avatar can be in the slides. And I'd like you to use analogies that are relevant to the audience that I might be speaking of. It'll take all that, everything I said, it'll condense it down, it'll make it nice and tight, and usually somewhere between 6 to 8 minutes. You can take an hour-long thing with all the slides in the background, so you can make, I call it a director's cut. But you really can make something that for people that want the high-level information, it's nice and condensed down. So often I'll have it delivered just by a stock avatar of it. I'll put in, and then I'll have a slide deck available. Anyone that wants to see some examples of that, you're going to get a link to my YouTube site that has some of those examples that are on there for presentations that are just tightened up into under 10 minutes. And they're so simple to do. So it gets the essence of what we delivered, but it just tightens it up in that perfect way if we could go back and do it all from scratch again. But a really good question, yes.
Do you have any studies, John, of how long people will actually sit and watch something ideally? If you're doing a demo, I know like
Yeah.
live, like in a Zoom, people get bored after like half an hour.
Yeah, they do. So when we deliver things live, it's very different. We can be in here longer, but if someone said you're going to have a 3-hour video you're going to sit through or Zoom, no one would show up. Social media is really tight and narrow, but when people are going to a particular topic, 15 to 30 minutes, if it's something that a person is really interested in, that's why you still see long-form YouTube, long-form Vimeo that's really good. So it allows you to really have tight information, which is very hard to deliver live. If a person said, for me to get through all this content really quickly, it would just mean I'd be talking faster. It wouldn't be really organized my thoughts, but if I redo it and have AI help me, I can have it delivered in a way that's very logical, concise, and the imagery that supports it behind. And that's where, from a business point of view, that keeps your customers' attention. It helps those that are where you're doing support to better understand what you're working on. So we'll move past Brendan. We'll take a break here, not very long from now. So not every avatar idea is a good business use case. And the last thing I want you leaving with is thinking that I'm going to have avatars do everything all the time, because they're not perfect and they're not right for every situation. There are so many things that need us as people, the way that we see into things. If we left AI to manage our relationships, we wouldn't have married relationships right now. So the better question is, not can we make a video for this, but would this save time, improve consistency, increase reach, or create measurable way or value if we did it repeatedly? And that's the bigger question is, is it going to do something better for us, our clients, our staff? And that's where we really have to start to look at it. So decision filters, and you have this in workbooks that are coming your way. For each use case, does it happen often? Does it currently depend on one person? Would consistency improve the outcome? Could it be reused? Could it be adapted? And is there a way that we can actually measure whether it works? And in the workbooks you have a process that you can go through to try to see, because it's easy to look and say, wow, these are really cool. And so many people, when I show them avatars, right away, I want one of those. It's kind of like buying something off a shelf in a grocery store, but that's the wrong way to look at it. It really has to go through the test. Is what is it going to do? Is it meaningful? Is it right? So I'm just going to open up a little bit into marketing, and then we'll take a break. So if we look at demand generation and product marketing, this is an area that a lot of businesses start in this area. Product explainers, featured announcements, sales enablement, localization, which we talked about with multiple parts, but making sure things stay aligned and consistent. So go-to-market systems, avatars can be very helpful in certain parts of the flow and making sure that they're still meeting the tests that we have. If you do go to scale with them, there are tools like Clay where you can at mass create personalized videos that can go out and can deliver what you need. Good meetings die in weak follow-up. How many people know of those that are incredibly talented? They make the best presentations, or they can go in, they can solve just about everything, but their follow-up is horrible. They haven't got that part down. This is where I'd say is a great chance to look at, or they don't get to it soon enough. When we make a promise to a customer, in the customer's mind, they're ready now for that solution, whatever it was we promised. The longer it takes us to be able to deliver upon something, our trust starts to deteriorate. And oftentimes we're just, that follow-up is hard. AI has helped with a lot of emails because people can email quicker now. And a better crafted email where you used to stare at a blank page and say, oh, this isn't good, I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll do it next morning, and we just wait and wait. And now we can use those tools to improve it. So we can start to use video follow-up better than plain text and a means to stand out. So picture short personalized videos that follow up a discovery meeting or a new introduction where rather than just that great meeting you, let's catch up again sort of thing, you can actually have a bit of substance to it. So you can restore tone and personality by using an avatar. You can make the message more memorable, clarify any nuances that you had, and also it can be more thoughtful than a long email. And it can make a small team look a bit more polished and having a little bit more depth to it. So it's not about automation for its own sake. It's about better communication delivered more consistently and more timely. So a good follow-up, say, discovery meeting video would start with a greeting, just simple, warm, natural, a reference to the prior conversation. And you can use AI to help craft this part. Just take one key takeaway or challenge. This isn't to solve everything. It's just to be memorable on one part. Keep it relevant on the next step, and then just a clear call to action. And you're keeping it to under a minute, something that you can spit out really quickly. So if you have a quick GPT that can do this, you can have something that is a direct video like you're going to see in a minute out within just a couple of minutes after getting off a phone call, or you might schedule it for an hour later so it doesn't look like you can instantly do it. But here's an example of what this would be like, an AI could put together a script like this. Hi, Sarah, da-da-da-da-da-da. But let's look at what that would look like in real life. And let's create a company called North Star Analytics, and a template that you could just reuse if you were going to have a particular template that was always going to be part of your video follow-up.
Hi, Sarah. It was great speaking with you today. I appreciated hearing more about your team and some of the challenges you're running into around keeping follow-up consistent after sales conversations, especially when everyone is juggling a lot at once. One thing that stood out to me is that there may be a real opportunity to create a simpler follow-up workflow, something that helps you keep momentum with prospects without adding a lot of extra manual work for your team. I thought I'd send this quick video rather than just a typical email because sometimes it's easier to put a face and voice to the follow-up. If it would be helpful, I'd be happy to sketch out what a lightweight approach could look like for your process. Just reply to this email or grab a time on my calendar and we can take the next step. Thanks again, Sarah.
So if a simple template you could have right away, they could reply by email, they could go right to a calendar link, and you just added a human touch into it. But the key thing is not to be generic. It has to be meaningful. There has to be something real in your substance. But now you're using a medium that makes a warmer impression than just a single text and a single voice. Emails are getting harder and harder for people to read. You know, text just come through in little parts. Videos are having a very, very strong impact, especially when they can be timely and they're meaningful. So, you know, simple outreach emails can be done very easily, but keep it always light. Make it simple and make it consistent. Using templates for anything that you're doing so that you're always getting something that is meaningful, makes sense to you. Once you've done the template once, it literally, you're dropping an avatar, you're dropping a script, and it's coming out consistent every single time. So metrics, to try to understand, like, is this helping? Is this better? And you need to measure to see, you know, are we doing this just for technology's sake, or are we doing it because we are actually improving? What you want to be looking at, your primary metrics, is our reply rate increasing, our meeting booked rate, our follow-up completion rate. You know, are those key things improving because we're experimenting? And I look at all of these things. These are not going to be the silver bullet for everyone, but some, you know, hopefully through today, there will be some different workflows that you may want to try because you want to experiment, and look at them as being an experiment, but you want to put metrics to them. Secondary metrics could be, you know, cycle time reduction, re-engagement rate. You know, is that getting quicker because we do it? Are we getting away from stalled opportunities that we get ghosted on? So is this helping us move real conversations forward or not? And that's the key thing that we're trying to figure out and address. So personalized outreach is one of the best near-term avatar use cases. And again, putting it from the context. This is my assistant. You know, Bill or Mary has asked me to quickly send this note off to it. We'd, you know, love to get you in the calendar for, you know, another get together, move this product or this opportunity forward. So it's not about automating relationships. It's about making stronger follow-up easier to deliver. And I think that's the key way that we need to look at it. Automation, if done wrong, just means that you do bad things faster and more consistently. So this is where we'll take our break. I'm going to leave that on the screen. For those of you that didn't catch it earlier, because you are here, Hey Jen is going to give you a creator plan so that you can build for 30 days. And if you click the QR code, it'll take you where you need to go to. The workshop code is there. And when you get to the checkout, the creator plan is $29 US a month, and the code gives you $29 US, so you come out with a balance of zero when you go to put that thing through. I'll leave this up while you're on break, so take it. Oh, sorry. Yes, please.
One last question. Just you mentioned the interactive avatars and the
Sorry.
avatars.
Yes.
So I'm just a bit lost on the legal perspective of this, especially if it's a scripted avatar. Like as a legal entity, my digital twin, my avatar is going to be a representation of me. And if it's an interactive avatar, it's going to learn from the context as well. Then if there's anything that's like line, who's going to be responsible? Me, my avatar. I know the regulation is going to be lagging behind the tech.
That is a huge question. I would like to think, and I would like to argue with CRA, that my avatar is the one that's making the money, not me. I don't know, but I mean, there's going to be a lot of questions about that. There's also a lot of licensing questions going on. James Earl Jones licenses his, I believe he licenses his voice out. Other people are completely against those parts. So I don't know where all that's going to go, and I don't know where the responsibility part. Again, this is where we're moving really fast, and I don't have all those answers because that process gets really slow because that sits in government's hands right now, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of pressure to try to figure out some things before we allow things to go faster. But they are good questions. I don't know who would be responsible. I think you have to be very careful. When I build an avatar for someone, they have to provide me with a portable hard drive, and I give them their voice clone, and they get their digital likeness that I capture for them. And I tell them it should go in your safety deposit box because after I've given that to you, it gets deleted out of my system. So I don't store anyone's avatar. I don't store anyone's voice. And I tell them I can't re-give it to you after you've done it. You'd have to go and get it recaptured because our digital footprint, if captured properly and if it got into the wrong hands, you could make something as realistic as you saw of me if you had my stuff. But excellent question. It makes you think. So. With that, why don't we take 10 minutes, freshen up, get a bite to eat, and then we'll get into the second portion. There's some really cool stuff we're going to get into in that part.